All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another stream. Today I'm joined by, I'm not sure, are you Boba Fett? Who are you?
Of course I am. Happy Halloween.
Happy
Hello
Halloween.
guys,
Yeah,
welcome back. Welcome back to the stream. I am actually going to remove this because I cannot see anything. And I'm gonna put something on that actually gives me real superpower. This is my Crystallize eye. I am here with you guys.
beautiful. Very nice. So, yeah, I'm Brendan, part of the developer experience team. This is Sebastian, the head of the developer experience team and also the CTO here at Crystallize. And today we're sort of following along in a series of streams that we have been doing for the past several weeks now about building up our own store from scratch. That's included a number of streams going over the concepts of building up a store, structuring your project and your store within Crystallize. But also, there have been a few of these more programming focused videos, such as today's one, where we've been actually diving into the code and building up our own store with React and Remix and Crystallize, of course. Um, Last time we finished off with our product page, as you can see on the screen here, where we have a nice overview, some content with this variant selector and also the prices rendering correctly as well. But today, Sebastian, what are we going to do?
So yeah, Didrik is gonna do we're gonna do another live stream for the styling and stuff, right? It's nice, but Didrik will make it even better. Today we're gonna do the add to cart functionality. Something very similar to what we have in the boilerplate that you can use as you know now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go on the product page like we have. We're gonna add a button. So about that. We're going to add a button add to cart. We're going to add to the cart. Then we're going to create the cart page and display the cart page. And we're going to also see what has been done server side to set the cart server side as well, right? To hydrate
Nice.
the cart server side.
Yeah, so there's a lot of components going on here, both on the client side and the server side, to keep this state sort of persisted, and that will lead us in to the next programming stream next time, which would focus more on submitting this order and the actual checkout process, right?
Exactly.
Nice.
So for now, we're going to just focus on the cart and what it requires. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a cart that is saved in the local storage. So nothing is happening server side, which is because it's local storage, right? But at some point, when we hit that page, the cart page, we're actually going to send that cart to the server. And the server at that moment will do many things. We're going to see that. But it could set the cart, and it will also compute the pricing. This is actually where you can actually verify the pricing, probably provide discounts. If you are in B2B and the user is authenticated, you can apply vouchers or discounts and stuff like that. So this is the first step of all the things. This is actually a crucial point of an e-commerce, the checkout process, right? So that's the first step.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, so let's dive back into the code and let's see how we can implement this flow, like actually in the code. I'm keen to see that.
Yep, there we go. So this is the project, didn't touch anything. We have the product page where we have the current variant, we have the select variant that we had before, and this is the UI. We're gonna add the button, the add to cart button here, and I think that might be the first step to add the add to cart button. So just right under the select of our own project, which is here. So this is the select of the variant. We're going to do this add button button. So button on click, we're going to keep that for later. And we're going to do add to cart. Ooh, magic. And I'm going to let Didrik customize that. but we have the add to cart button. Nothing is happening, of course. Now what we want is to save into the local storage. So we could do that manually, or we could use a library to use that. Of course, you have a lot of different libraries. I like to use this one, React Hook Local Storage. You also have something called Local Forage, which is much more advanced, but also really cool with a lot of different fallback on the you can read. This is a very good library as well, but we're going to keep it simple for now and use just this one. Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'm just going to go in the shell, going back here, and we do npm install local storage. So we need to read a little bit the documentation to follow what we're going to do, but this is pretty simple. You can just require this local storage library, and then you can write, or you can use what you have in your local storage, right? Make sense?
Yeah.
Good. So this is installed. Let's run the project, npm run dev. Oops. So nothing changed. Now we want to add something into this local storage. So first we can ask ourselves, what do we need? What do we need to ask? What is a cart? And the definition of the cart is really important. It could be generic, but it could be also very specific to what you're doing. What I propose is a very simple version of a cart for the local storage, because of course the cart remotely might be different. But for the local storage, what do we need? Probably the name of the product, the quantity, the price, and some kind of identifier, right? The SKU, maybe?
Yeah, SKU makes the most sense with Crystallize, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do that, right? So we want to have access to the cart, and we want to add that to the cart. So we have TypeScript here, and I think it might be great to do a little bit of TypeScript here, because this is structured. What we want is it's the structure somehow. So I propose that we create a type that we name local cart, right? What is the local cart? What is the structure? So we have a list of items. Okay. For each item, we're going to say that the key is actually the ID, that the SKU. That's going to be the key of each line, order item, or order line. And so we said that we wanted the name, we wanted the quantity, the price, and we're going to put the SKU here. It's going to be just to have an easier access to the SKU. It's going to be the key, but that's going to be also in the object itself. So that would be the structure of the cart. And maybe later, if we have time, if we save it, we can add the cart ID if we save it to the database. And at some point in the future as well, we will have a state, because a cart can be just a cart. It can be placed or it can be paid, right?
True.
But we keep that for later. I'm going to put that there. So let's do cart or placed.
But this cart ID would allow us then to attach the cart or connect the cart to an account or something like that, for example.
Exactly. And also it would help us to push the order to Crystallize. Because what's going to happen? That's a very good question. Almost like we prepared, right? But it's a very good question. At some point, we're going to inject the payment system somewhere. So usually the payment system, once the payment is paid, you have a callback. But the payment system is calling you back. And in that callback, the payment system doesn't have the session, right? So we need to know what we're talking about. And the payment system can return the cart ID. So we know that the payment is connected to that cart ID. So we know in the service API that this cart has been paid, so we can create an order in Crystallize. So that would be one of the main use cases here, is to enable the payment. So keeping that into a comment for now. And now we just need to use the library, right? So use local storage and write local storage. If we look at the documentation, it's kind of very simple. You put the name of what you want, and you can use it. And if you want to write, you can just write that down. Okay, so let's do that. So, and we're gonna make it better soon because I can hear that this should be extracted somewhere, and we will extract that to make it a little bit cleaner. So what we want is we want the cart, right? So why not name it this cart? We could provide the default value, right? Yeah, that would work. It's not, it is an object. So that would be the cart, right? And so if I do that, it's not going to do anything specific. We have, it's almost like a state here, like a use state, but this is saved in the local storage. And then what we want is to write in the cart, the local storage, on click. So we want to write storage, we want to write cart, and what do we want to do? So we want to actually put the cart, right? I mean, put an item in the cart. So that will be probably the existing cart, right? And then item, the SKU, the key actually of the selected variant. So in here, we're gonna have the SKU. So to do it correctly, that will be this selected variant.SKU. And then what do we need? Well, the name. So selected variant.name. The quantity, let's start by 1. The SKU, we have used it as a key. So why do we use that as a key? It's really to get access to a specific variant. Instead of looping to find a good SKU, we just put it as a key so we can do cart.SKU, cart.item.SKU. It's really to make it simpler to get access to an item of a cart. And then we need the price.
A bit more performant than just looping all the time when you want to sort through it.
Yeah, exactly. So if I do that, I do that, it should be enough. Missed something here. What's going on? Something did. Out. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
So nice. So let's try now. With that, boom. This is running, no problem. And we want to see if we have that working. So we're going to open the tab and we're going to click here to see the local storage. I'm going to remove that one, which is probably another project. And now we have the cart and we have a state, but I'm going to remove that here. So boom, we have the cart. Great. So actually the library is listening to local storage changes, which means that if you have different tabs open, everything will be synchronized across tabs, which is kind of a cool feature as well. So now we do that, add to cart, here we go. That was simple as that. We have the SKU, and we didn't do it perfectly, but we have the SKU, the name, the quantity, and we are missing the price because the price is probably, let's dump the selected variant to make sure of what we have inside this stuff. Log that we can discuss after. So we have the name and the price is actually, oh yes, of course. We have two prices. We need to pick the one that we want. In this situation, we're going to take the sales price. Okay, so sales price dot price. So at cart sales price dot price. Okay, and of course this is inside the items key. Now, if we look at the types, we have the items. So under the items, this is actually where we want to do that. So we spread the cart, we spread the item, and we add one more key.
Yeah.
Okay. Going back, reloading, pinning, add to cart. Now we're good. Okay.
Nice.
So now we're good. And of course, if I change, I go to paperback, I'm gonna add to cart, and I should have 2. Well, cool. So this is it. It's simple as that for now. So this is cool. But what if I add the same one twice?
Right. So the quantity is currently stuck on 1.
Exactly. I should be able to do something better here. So and we are using React, and I think this is something. It's a very good candidate to create our own hook, right? So I think this is what we should do. We should have an hook that we can call use local cart. Then we can use that from anywhere in the app, which is going to be also very interesting to display the number of items in the cart. We are not going to do the pop-in stuff, but we can at least put the number of items that we have in the cart. We do that? Let's do that. So it's not a component. I think we can create a folder here that we name hooks. We might have others. We're going to do use local cart.ts, and probably we want to get that types extracted here. It doesn't have to be inside this supposed controller. So we can do that. Then we need the hook itself. So that would be export function. Let's name it the same way, use local cart. And this use local cart is actually going to look inside the storage. So here we are not going to use that. Actually, we need that in the hook itself. So if you don't know what is React hooks, you can look at the documentation. But this is pure, full React stuff. So this is what we want. And then it's fancy when this hook is actually returning value and function. So this hook will return function. Of course, it will return the cart, but we can also return function to change the cart. This is what we are going to do. So maybe, yeah. So let's do it. The code will speak better. So I'm going to get that right storage function, and I'm going to put it here. And let's name it update. That's going to be the update function. What do we update? We want to update the local cart by receiving the local cart. Okay. And how do we update? Just writing the cart. So this is very simple here. But this is just to show you. Here we want to write the storage, write in the storage, name cart, the cart that we have received. Okay, this is just a function that I'm going to reuse in the following in the step that I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so this is just a very simple function. For now, it's not even exported. It's just to update the cart. And we're going to return the cart. So this is just my hook now. When I do use local cart, I can get the cart. But what we want is probably a function that is doing add something. So we could create a function that we can name add that is going to receive a variant, the selected variant. So we know that is the product variant. Cool, thank you. The type is coming from the JS API client. And what we can do, we can anticipate. We can say that the quantity would be a number, and we're going to default it to 1. So if we don't provide the argument, we add 1 at a time. But if we want, we could add more quantity. Okay. And then this is the boring kind of logic that we need. We need probably if cart.item.variant. SKU, right? If the SKU exists in the cart, then we are updating the quantity.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense so far. And if it doesn't exist, look at that, how beautiful it is. Is it correct? Variant name, variant.name.
Looks like
Almost.
for the most part, yeah.
Almost, actually. What is odd is the price stuff. Why string is not? Yeah, actually, we've done this function first, right? This is actually what we need. But this is closed. I'm just going to do that. Variant is variant.name. Boom, boom, boom. Sales price. Yeah. So here, because we have typed the product variant here, I think I'm going to remove that type. It's because of that. Because the product variant doesn't know about sales price.
We do want quantity to be equal to quantity there, right? Not just one.
Yeah. Just removing the type for now. And here, that would be even quantity should be equal to just quantity. That would be it.
Yeah.
And then we want to write that to the cart. So that's where the function will come in. We just do that. We update the cart with the existing cart that we received. And that's pretty much it. What else do we need? We could have a remove function that would be exactly the same, but let's keep it for later. Let's start by that, right? Look at the time as well. So we have the hook, right? It's done. Nothing else is needed. We have the function, we have the cart. So now let's use it now. So I don't need that anymore. We're going to remove this. Oops. Right. And instead of doing use local storage, so this is also very good to if you want to use another library, using React hooks, you can just abstract, decouple everything, right? So if you want to change the library, then you do that in your hook and you don't care about your code. You don't change your code.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I want that, and I want the add function as well. So this is it. I have my local cart. I have the add function, and I can play with that. So we can change this, and now that's going to be as simple as add selected variant. Boom. That's actually it. So we do that. We come back to this page. We can clean the local storage. So everything's still working. Then I add to cart, and I have my item with a quantity of 1. Then I do it again and again and again. I'm just clicking a lot right now. And quantity 15. Click one more time. Quantity 16. So it seems like we did it right. We have the cart. Great. All good?
Looks good to me. Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't think there's many questions that I have to add to this. I think it's quite straightforward so far. And of course, like you showed, just abstracting this logic away. Like you said, it's super easy to refactor, swap out a library if you have to. It's super tidy and pretty straightforward. So yeah, the only thing that we could add would be that quantity number, like a field to add more than one at a time. But I think for simplicity, like there's no reason to do that now.
Yes, right. And what we can do is we're going to put the number of items in here just to show you that now we have a hook, we can use it everywhere. So here I put it 3. I'm going to make it dynamic. So you want to have access to your local cart, you just have to do cart, use cart. And then you can do, here you want to display probably cart.item.length, which would not be correct. So we can improve that. LENGTH in here. No. It into a span. And in a span, valid. Cart.item. Oh, sure. This is an object. So we need object.keys. We just want the number of products here that we have. This is not the full quantity, because here we're going to have 2, but we have 15. And so it depends. We could do a loop here. I don't know. I don't think it brings so much value, but we can loop into the cart to get the total here, to get 21 instead of 2.
I'm trying to think of a real world example. I think you would show the total number, the sum of all the quantities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do that then. That would be reduce. And we're going to need the memo would be a number. This is what we need. And we're going to loop over the key. So we have a string, and the default would be 0, and the function function here would be this guy. So 0 plus cart item of key dot quantity 21. And now this is the beauty. If I do that, boom, you have the local cart. And nice. I'm mentioning that before, but thanks to local storage, I have different tabs. This is all synchronized across different tabs without doing anything, which might be handy sometimes, but yeah, good. So now we need to do stuff server side, right? So we need the cart page. So for this, in Remix, but it could be the framework that you want, we just need a new file, which is cart.tsx. What can we do into this one? Looking at my cheat code, we probably just need a component. For now, this is going to return that. Let's start by this first. So now, if I go to /cart, awesome. What we want is to display the cart. So here, we have many ways of doing this. What we're going to do is we're going to use effect to fetch an endpoint. I know it might not be the Remix approach, but we want to be agnostic of framework here. So we're going to use a generic way of doing it. And the service API could be outside of Remix anyway, right? The carts that you save, the server side that you have, it might not be connected to your front end, right? You can have a Lambda function somewhere else. Right, Brendan?
Exactly. Your backend could be stored wherever in whatever language, technology you want. So
exactly. So we can just do a use effect here. So what we want in the component is to actually push the cart to the server and make sure that we receive something with a little bit more information. Okay, so that's the tricky part, because it's a lot actually. It's a lot of things that we want to do. We want to push the cart, save the cart, and get back a cart, but with more information, the real price and everything that we want inside the cart. So for that, we're going to use one of the SDK that we have that I wanted to show you, that we have called the Node Service API Request Handler. It's a big name, but we're trying to abstract the stuff that you do all the time, because right now we have the local cart, right? But you need to make sure that the product still exists in the database. I mean, maybe the stock is now empty. Maybe the price has changed. You cannot rely on the front end, because probably the front end will be cached, right? It will make a lot of sense, if all that stuff will be cached somewhere, or if it's a SSG that will be generated by Advance. So the price, they might be correct, they might be not correct. And again, if you are authenticated, maybe you have a specific price. So we have some price computation as well, depending on the delivery country. We were mentioning about the different variable that we have in the context last time. The country where you deliver can be different, then the tax is different. And if the tax is different, we need some kind of computation. All that stuff, we have that in that SDK/library. In the form of a function, you provide the cart, and then you receive something. And this something includes calculation that you can extend, of course, but it would do the code to Crystallize for you. So it would basically say to Crystallize, hey, here are the different SKU. Give me the product from the database. Give me everything that you have. And of course, we are not asking everything by default. We're asking only what we need, but you can extend this. You can add arguments to that function. Everything is listed here. So if you need, I don't know, the stock level for this warehouse or this other warehouse, you can ask it. If you want a specific image, if you have product storytelling that you want to fetch, you can, of course, do it. So let's do that. And I think the same way that we have the local cart, I think we should do an hook right away that would be named use remote cart. That would be a way to easily fetch the cart remotely, to hydrate that cart. So to ask the server for the cart. Why do we need a function? Why is it not just on the cart page? Well, because you're probably going to need that function, that call many times. If I took the example of the finalist version, this is a cart page. But then you click on checkout, probably you want to see something on the left here. And same, you're going to ask the server for that. So let's create that hook right away. This is just to simplify the code. So we're going to do exactly the same kind of logic. We export a function that is use remote cart, and then let's say that export function use remote cart. Probably to get the remote cart, we need the local cart, right? So this is a hook that is using another hook, which is also kind of cool. So use local cart, right? So this is a way to get the initial version that we have locally, and then we can put the use effect here. So this is actually this hook, which is going to do the use effect for us. So I don't know if you have done this kind of stuff before, Brendan, but it's kind of cool that we have that capability. Then that's going to be async. So this is actually an async, an async use effect. So here it is, double, almost. Here we go. That's it. Yeah. And in here, we need to actually call the loader, right? We need to fetch the cart somewhere. We need to call the server to say, hey, please crystallize. So we need that. So let's start by the function first. Let's say that we're going to do. So we need, that will, thank you, GitHub Copilot, once again. So fetch API cart, we want the post indeed, content type application. We can stringify the cart. That would be probably the simplest way to do that. And we get back. Let's start with this. It's pretty cool. And so now we need to return. What do we need to return? Probably what we could do. So let's imagine that will be the data will be the remote cart. What a fancy way to do something will be also here to have some kind of some states inside this, because we are doing a use effect. So we are not blocking anything. So we need a state to save the cart once it has been retrieved. So here in this hook, we have actually a specific state for that hook. So we can name it state, state, okay? And I would recommend to have like loading, which is false by default. Or actually, is it? I think if you are using this component, it might be because we trigger the use effect right away, right?
True. Then it would be
so
true
that's going to be true by default. And then we have the remote cart, which is going to be null at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I think I missed something. The use effect function, of course, I need that it is, we need to do the use effect every time the cart is changing.
Yeah.
Good.
Makes sense.
And then we return the loading state. So it's actually, we can just return the state. Or even better, this way, actually. It's as simple as that. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
nice.
now we have that. So every time we do use, and we need to set the state, of course. That will be ND. So when we do this, we do set states, and we want the previous state. Of course, all the time we do want to do that. Will loading equals true. Even if the first time that's going to be it already, we just need that, because if this change, we need to come back here again. So this is what we need. And at the very end, when we receive the cart, we want to do, how did we name that? Remote cart equals remote cart. So that would be this. Sense? Right?
Yeah.
Good. So now we can try that. We are on the cart page, and let's do remote cart.
Whereas I guess if you were doing only a remix approach, you would use a loader function here. But because we are trying to make it abstract and not just remix specific, because why limit yourself to remix? This then allows you to more easily fetch the data. It translates to any other platform you're using.
Yeah, also just, exactly. We could use a loader, but actually this is a generic stuff that we may want to do, right? Exactly. So let's see if this is working. Console.log remote cart. And we are there. We're going to the cart page. It's null, and of course the API/cart does not exist.
Yeah.
We need to create that. So we actually need, and maybe at some point we can do it in the loader, but it doesn't change so much, because the only difference of doing it in the loader or not, it's where it is fetched. Is it fetched the client side, or is it fetched on the server side? But for now, let's keep it simple. So use remote cart. We need an API endpoint. For that project, we don't have a service API that is decoupled from the project. So we are going to use Remix to do the API. So we're going to name it API, and we are going to create another folder inside it that we're going to name cart, and then the index will be the default for the cart, right? And so here, once again, it is Remix, but it could be any kind of API. It could not be, it could be something else. It could be another tech, actually. It could be, I don't know, a Go service, anything.
Yeah.
So in Remix, to do an API endpoint, this is just an action, right? So I just get this. And we need to return a response, which is going to be actually the JSON. So see, for once, this is not correct. So first, let's debug it a little bit. So, we can make it simple. We want the body, right? So the body is actually not that. It's the body. It's request.json. Oops. See what we receive from the client. So we need to await.
Yep.
And what we're going to do is we are going to return the body directly. For now, it's for you to understand really. So let's say that we name it hydrated cart. For now, we just return what we receive. Okay, we make it very simple, just to make sure that the wiring is correct. And then in the middle here, we're going to call Crystallize.
Cart instead of card.
Exactly. Yep. So that's it. Now coming back to here, reloading, and see in the result, I receive what I passed. Cool. If I go to the network tab and I look at the payload here, this is what I sent, and this is what I received. Okay, very easy. I just want to mention all those errors here are not related to what we're doing, kind of. It's because Remix is doing server-side rendering, and we are displaying stuff that are in the local storage only. So the server doesn't know about the local storage. So basically, this is yelling, saying, hey, hydration didn't match because you are rendering something client-side that is not the same as server-side. There is a trick to remove those errors. If we have time, but we won't, but we can do it next time. It's just you need to inform the server that this part is dynamic on client side only. And yeah, anyway, so let's continue. So don't worry about this error. So we have this. Now we want to call Crystallize to say, hey, please give me more information about this product. And this is where we can use the SDK. And this is where we're going to install this SDK to get this information, to get all that stuff for us already done. So I'm going to go there. I'm installing that library. I hope.
Fingers crossed.
Wow. Might be me. Might be the network. I think I'm gonna open the library as well for you, so you see what this library is doing for us. Okay, that has been installed. Before to use it, I'm gonna show you what it does. So this is the project of the library itself. What we're gonna use is the handlers and the specific. There is only one. The handle cart request. This handler is actually going to take the cart and is going to hydrate the cart, compute the price, apply everything that needs to be applied in terms of tax, because in Crystallize, you can input the price the way you want. So some clients, they are more B2B or they're more in Europe or in the US, they input prices in Crystallize that are tax included. And then we do the calculation on the front end to remove the tax. I mean, to show to the user, this is the amount. Or you can input into Crystallize prices without tax. And then you do the computation in the front end and in the service API to actually add the tax at the end to show to the buyer, but also to make them pay this price, right? So all that stuff, it's different calculation. It's simple, but you want to handle it. The other thing that it does for you, it's of course you can have discounts on the price. This is actually the situation here. If I look at the bookstore, we have two prices: the sales price and the retail price. Sorry, I stopped the server. And we want to save that somewhere. We want to remember, because remember, an order, it's a snapshot of what's happening. So somehow there is €5 discount here. We need to remember that. We need to save that into the order at the end. This is what we're doing for you as well with this SDK. So all that stuff is done for you, the calculation of the discount. And that's it, not too much. And everything is, of course, very important, is extendable. So in this handler, you can provide argument, and the list of argument for that one specifically is quite huge. You can provide your own function to hydrate, provide extra information that you want to retrieve from Crystallize, add the root query. Per product, per variant, you provide the currency. This is where you provide if the price are included in the Crystallize, the tax are included into the prices in Crystallize or not. And this is the two function that you need to provide if you want to have a discount price. So the system is doing the calculation. You provide the base price, you provide the price that you are adding to the cart, and the system is doing the calculation for you. That make sense? And if you don't provide, the default is to take, this is actually interesting to have a look. Select price variant. We take the first price for the base. Yeah, we just take the first price that exists.
Yeah,
if you don't provide the variant. Yeah. So let's do that.
Yeah, and so this is all abstracted into a separate library, and I think like it may make more like it may make sense in the future to have separate streams going through different components of this library as well. Like there's a lot in there that you can make use of in your own projects and all that, which is super helpful, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But for now, we're just making use of it as one example.
Exactly. So we're gonna use the handler right away. Here we go. So what do we need? The data is going to be getting from the handler. So it's handle. I don't remember the name, so I'm going to copy paste it. Or we can just read the doc. But yeah, this guy. Handle cart request payload. What do we need to provide? The payload, and we can validate the payload as well. So I'm going to just import this from the library. It's that. And we need this, and we need the validate payload. We are not going to validate for now. So this is correct. I don't need that for now. This is the function of the SDK. Then I will provide the body. Then I can provide the arguments that are required to hydrate the cart. So first we need the currency, and I think this is the only one that is actually required. So just with this, now instead of returning the local cart, I'm going to return this data, okay? And we're going to compare and see what we have if everything is working. Okay, so now I'm going to the cart. Oh. And of course, we have an exception, but we're going to have a look at that. Payload.item.map is not a function, so something is weird in the request. This is why the validate method here, we can validate the input to be sure of what we get, right? So to validate, we just need a function. I'm going to put it there. The validate payload is actually taking a payload and taking a ZOD schema. Okay, and returning this. Yeah, it's kind of it might be for another live stream to explain all that stuff. But yeah, the library is actually providing the types, but also the ZOD schema. So you can actually ask the library for the cart payload schema and the type as well, which is cart payload. This is the way we've done it. All that stuff is inside the documentation, and it might be a little complex to understand here, but this is just to simplify the life for you. It's to make it a little bit simpler. So what do we want? We want validate payload of this schema. So what are we going to get back? It's a cart payload. We want to provide the body, and we want to validate against this schema. Here we go. Now,
which I imagine it's because we're sending through the items as an object, right, instead of an array that it's expecting, because we have the keys.
Yeah, this is good. We're going to see now. Now we have a better error management. Now, see, it says that expected array. I think it's just because the way we sent. Oh, we need the local. Okay, of course. Yeah, I think this is the way we are calling it from the JavaScript. So this is valid actually. Now the way we send that, we need more here. So here we just have stringify the cart, but what do we need? This handler that is doing the job for us, it needs a card payload. What is a card payload? You have that types somewhere. And you need a local, you need the items, and that's pretty much it. So actually, you need to respect that. Of course, we are providing an SDK that is doing stuff for you, and this SDK is expecting something specific, right? So what do you need? It's a local. So here, that's going to be en. We want a list of items. So this is actually the, yeah, I can just do the cart.items, items, I guess. And I think that's it. That's the minimum. Lately, put on, expect array, receive an object. Oh yeah, you might be right then. You're right. This is an array here. So it is an object. So object values. Yep.
Yeah.
And again, nothing is magic here. You just need to get what is a cart payload. Yeah. There. Oh, here we go. Cannot post /search. So this is, we're getting there now. So what's happening right now? It's we need to do query to Crystallize to the search. So, and apparently the remote cart is not able to do that. So it's actually the function that is fetching for us the product in Crystallize that is not working. See, cannot post search function.
Because I guess it's expecting environment variables, which we do not have set for this project.
Did we? So that's exactly this, but I thought we did actually. No, we did not. Interesting. So how do we fetch the product from the catalog? Do we do it manually? Oh, yes, I think we do create the client automatically. So that's the problem here. Well done. Well, okay, good catch. So here, indeed, the library, they expect you, if you read the doc correctly, which we did not together, you need to have some environment variable to, so we know what we're talking about. And one of these environment variable is, of course, the Crystallize and tenant identifier. So let's do that very quickly. I'm just kidding there. I would never remember the name. Let me just 1 minute of the list. Here we go. This is what we need. So Crystallize tenant identifier, access token, and token access record. Those guys, we don't need them yet because, of course, everything that we're doing so far, it's not requiring the PIM API. But this one is important. So, and this one has been hard-coded so far. So we're going to fix that at the same time. So the route, the use case, this is what we need. We need to put that in the env. And we need to restart the server. Otherwise, Remix is not going to read the env file. Now with this, it's still not working. Identifier. This is a good to see if it's working. What we can do, we can, instead of creating the client ourselves here, actually the library is doing it for you. So you can do Crystallize client right away here. You have, which is actually reading the environment variable for you. So this should work right away. So we're going to change that. If we fix this, we are going to probably fix the problem of the cart. So it's not really related. Now, see, so this is working. Yeah, see, So something is still a little bit odd. Let's have a look at this to be sure of the name of the variable. So what do we need here? We need Crystallize tenant identifier. I did it right? No? Oh, okay, my bad. I put the file in the src folder.
Oh, right, rather than the root.
And that should be there.
Yeah.
Good. So now going back, npm run. This is back. We can go to the cart and we have now, and we can continue the stream next time now, but we have the hydrated cart. So now we have a version of the cart which is much more. So I'm going to show you actually the network tab. It's probably better. So now every time we load the page, we send the client, the local storage version of the cart, which is the payload. So the list of items that we have and the quantity and the price for each. And what we receive a version of the cart that has been hydrated, as we name it. So we have, of course, many of the same information, but we have more. We have the discount. We have the gross version versus net. We have the tax amount. We have information about the product, about the variant, the VAT type that we've used. We have the total that has been done as well, including the discount. So we receive something with way more information, and information that has been controlled server side. And this is the most important part. Those information is controlled by you server side. Of course, here, and we can do more next time, we just called the function. We just called this handler. But in a real life project, and we're going to do that together next time, and we're going to focus on server side. But here you need more. You want to save the cart when it's done. We want to add that ID and return that ID. We want to play with the states. And this is everything that we're going to do next time, is to actually save the cart and customize this function using all the argument that is available to us and that function. Selected price, selected base price to enable the discount, adding information in the response if you want to get some information to do product storytelling to make a beautiful cart page. This is what we're going to do, and we will build that page to change the quantity exactly the same way we have in here. So step by step. But next time we finalize this to display that, to display this and this as well. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, like you said, we'll go through, I guess, rendering the cart and the whole payment sort of flow, or to the point of submitting an order, right?
Yeah.
To Crystallize.
So if I recap very quickly what we've done today, because it was a little bit of struggle at the end. We have a use local cart hook that is actually managing the cart locally with no request whatsoever to any server. Then we have another hook that we can use to ask the server. When I say the server, I'm not talking about Crystallize. I'm talking about your service layer, your service API. You ask your service API, hey, here is a local cart. Give me something hydrated. Give me something stronger, which are the price calculated, the total, the taxes, the discount, all that stuff. Give it to me. And to do that, we did the API endpoint. So we did some server-side code. And the server-side code, so far, it's really, really easy. It's just using one of the library. And what does it need? It needs a valid payload. So we make sure that the type is okay by saying, okay, I should receive a local cart that matches this type. Yell at me if it's not valid. And then we are in currency euro. So fetch everything that needs to be fetched in euro. Next time, we're going to go further and we're going to enable the discount. But to tell the SDK how to fetch a discount, you need to provide two prices so they can compare, right? So we're gonna have to say to the library, okay, this is the price that I want for this user, and this is the best price. So the library will do the discount calculation, etc., etc. This is what we're gonna do. Okay. And that's pretty much it. And also we fixed the call. Instead of creating the Crystallize client manually, we now rely on the default one, Crystallize client, which is actually using the environment variable. So it's a much better condition now.
Yeah, definitely good to have that tidy up as well, so that this tenant identifier is consistent, so that it, you know, if you switch tenant for some reason, you've got
that will work. Yeah,
one place.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, I think this is a good point to wrap up the stream. We've gone through a lot, and I think it's been quite straightforward for the most part, where you've shown us through going through this whole local cart and remote cart process. I'm looking forward to seeing the final few stages of this flow that we've been working towards over the past few streams of you know, displaying the product with the payment information, getting this cart set up, and now moving into processing the cart. I'm looking forward to seeing that happening in the next coding stream that we do. But yeah, all of the documentation for the service API library that we are using, this link will be in the description, as well as a link to the playlist for all of these streams in these series as well. So definitely check those out. Leave any comments or questions that you might have, and we will get back to you as we can. And of course, join the Crystallize community Slack channel as well, where you can ask questions and probably get answers more quickly than if you just leave a comment. So yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much for watching the stream, and thank you, Sebastian, for taking us through all this. It's been really great. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you all in the next stream. See you later.
Yep.